So much fun. We're going to get started in another couple of minutes. Please get comfortable, having drinks, snacks, signing up for the open mic. There's a list over there, signing up for our waiting list. It's all over there. It's big, yeah. Good to see you. Good to see you. And since
I saw him last 2 months ago.
I have to get up. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for, hello. Thank you everyone for joining us today, this afternoon, here at the Loma Alta Park Multi-Purpose Room. My name is Eddie Toscanians. I'm the Adult and Teen Services Manager with the Altadena Library District, and it is my honor to welcome you all today. I'm going to kick us off by reading our land acknowledgement for today. The Altadena Library District acknowledges our presence on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded land of the Gabrielino Tongva peoples. We commit to learning, educating, and informing our staff and the residents of Altadena about the Gabrielino Tongva peoples, present and the past. So thank you for joining us today at the Altadena Poets Laureate Rooted in Us reading and open mic. As many of you know, or some of you were here or were there at our main library earlier to kick us off for our groundbreaking ceremony to start off the construction that is taking place at our main library. It is projected to take about 18 months for the whole project to go through, but we are excited to kick it off and welcome everybody back to our newly renovated
yet still has the charm of the mid-century modern design main library. Meanwhile, we are going to be at 2 different locations. One of them is very close. We have our satellite branch at the Loma Alta Park, just across the park. And we are also at the newly renovated Bob Lucas Memorial Library and Literacy Center down on Lincoln and Ventura. That branch is actually open 7 days a week, so we have extended hours over there in the evenings for weekends as well. So check us out there. In addition to that, we are launching our mobile library, a brand new service point starting in March. We will be taking our van to a couple local businesses. On Tuesdays, we'll be at Grocery Outlet and Fair Oaks Burger parking lots. And on Thursdays, we'll be at Triangle Park and Frying Pizza parking lot. So do check us out over there. It's just a mini library. You can check books in and out. You can make a library card, join fun challenges. So all of that is available to the community. Now, having said all of that, I'm super excited to open our amazing Poet Laureate program today. So please give a huge round of applause to Savon Lester, our current Poet Laureates. So amazing, and it's my honor to work with them, and we have an exciting date coming up for the 20th anniversary of this Poet Laureate program for this year, and just save the date for April 25th for our Poetry and Cookies event at the Bob Lucas Library. And now, here's Seva. Thank you.
Is this a good spot to stand? Okay. Thank you all for coming. I want to give a huge round of applause to you for coming today and joining us. This is our first event happening in Loma Alta Park. Actually, not our first. Lynn Thompson led a workshop here last week, and that was amazing. And then this is the second workshop that we're doing, second reading we're doing here. We will have another reading here in March and another workshop. And then, as Edith said, our event that will be the closing of our laureateship, Lester and mine, will be April 25th, which will be Poetry and Cookies. It's going to be a big festival book fair at the Bob Lucas Library. So mark your calendars. Sorry?
3 to 6.
3 to 6, this is correct. So I am just thrilled to be here. I do want to acknowledge that our reading series is funded in part by the Academy of American Poets and the Mellon Foundation by Altadena Libraries and the Altadena Library Foundation. I also want to thank our program manager, Christina Cortez, who is back then, she'll be taking photographs. Thank you. And also our high school student assistant, Adalia Rivera, there she is. Thank you, Adalia, and as well to the Altadena Libraries team, Nikki, who is not right here right now, Bryn, who makes these flyers at the drop of a hat. We send the info to her so late, and she does it. Catalina, who does so much else, Edith, who you just met, and Alex Chen, who is here doing the live streaming. Do we have any listeners? Do we have any audience today?
We have 5.
Hi, everyone. You all want to wave hello to them? Can they see the audience? Can they?
They cannot see the audience. But
Okay.
They can see you here.
That's how, well, that's how it's supposed to be. And I also want to give a shout out to Octavia's Bookshelf and the Armory for cross promoting. As I mentioned, March 18th, there will be a flyer here. There will be a workshop here led by an Altadena resident. It's called Fire and Fairy Tales. And then there will be a reading on March 28th, When We Gather, We Heal, Indigenous Poets, Indigenous Voices in Poetry. All the flyers are on your table, so on your chair, so you'll have them. And as I said, April 25th, 3 to 6, mark your calendars. All our readings this season have an open mic segment. So if you haven't signed up, please do. It's at the table back there. We also have the Altadena Poetry Review available for sale at a discount. Instead of $20, it's available today for $10. So please purchase it. Today's reading, Rooted in Us, Celebrating Black writers and the legacy of S. Pearl Sharp is a remembrance and celebration as we honor Black writers and community figures whose words have expanded the landscape of our lives and literature. We will also recognize the lasting influence of S. Pearl Sharp, whose vision and dedication continue to guide and inspire. She passed away on October 11th, 2025. My fellow co-poet laureate, Lester Graves Lennon, will read her bio so you can know a little bit about her.
Thank you, Seba. And before I start, Seba is the Altadena Poet Laureate for Community Affairs. This is a community affair. She has been just exceptional in scheduling these and putting them all together, and she really deserves a hand. Thank you. Now, this is a bit lengthy, but S. Pearl Sharp lived a full life. S. Pearl Sharp was born on December 21st, 1942 in Cleveland, Ohio, and built a strong performance and writing career before moving to Los Angeles in the mid-70s. She created Poets Pay Rent too, and served as publisher, editor, many publications, including Robert E. Price's Bloodlines in 1978, director of Poetry Film, TV Technicians and Artists, West Coast, 1980, the Black History Film List, 1989, and more. Publisher Glenn Thompson reissued her 1978 poetry volume, Soft Song, and published Typing in the Dark from Harlem River Press in 1992. And the nonfiction Black Women for Beginners, Writers and Readers, 1993. Sharp was a co-founder with Robert E. Price of the Black Anti-Defamation Coalition, which monitored the image of Blacks in the media. In 1980, Sharp shifted her focus to filmmaking, studying at Los Angeles City College. Her films include Black Inside Herself in 1984, Life is a Saxophone, 1985, Picking Tribes in 1988, It's Okay to Peak, I just love these titles. It's Okay to Peak, 1996, The Healing Passage, Voices from the Water in 2004, and For the City of Los Angeles, Central Avenue Live, 1996, Fertile Ground, Stories from the Watts Towers Art Center in 2005. Sharp was an essayist and commentator on NPR from 2003 to 2009, and served as a volunteer second producer for KPFK FM Pacifica Radio Network. Her nonfiction writings are collected in the Evening News, essays, and commentaries from NPR and Other Clouds in 2015. Sharp passed away in October 2025.
Thank you, Lester. So when I read my poem, I'll tell you about when I first met S. Pearl Sharp. She was amazing. So we have definitely lost an inspiring figure in our community. And other poets will refer to her. We will get started. Our first two poets are high school students from Muir, just down the street on Lincoln. I will read their bios because those are not included in the program. Michaela Collins grew up in the Pasadena area for as long as she could remember. A junior at John Muir High School, Michaela is the Mystics dance captain and president of the Black Student Union. Michaela is also pursuing 2 associate degrees in behavioral sciences and early childhood education. And she will be followed by Mariah Tillman, who is also at Muir and an inspiring landscape architect. In her free time, she enjoys reading, drawing, rock climbing, and she hopes that by participating in events similar to this one, she can learn how to express large emotions through words. She believes that art is so important because it has the ability to tell a story. Please welcome Michaela, followed by Mariah.
My house burned down, the text read. My ears started to ring and go numb as I read the text over. My house burned down. The words sent a striking chill up my spine. When my best friend sent me that text, the world went silent. Memories of the house started to flood my memory. Doing homework in her room, playing darts before dinner, making cinnamon rolls in her kitchen. All the laughs we shared, nothing but memories now, in a space I once thought was my second home. The beautiful city I once knew was torn to shreds. The parasite we called a fire made my best moments vanish in seconds. But you didn't vanish. While everything fell out of place, you stood tall. You sifted through ashes with hands that still had hope in tomorrow. And somehow, in the middle of your hurt and loss, you checked in on me. That's when it finally clicked. The house didn't hold these beautiful memories. You did. The way we still do homework on the couch together, the way we still bake together, the way you still make any space feel safe. Watching you rebuild, not just your home, but yourself, showing what strength truly resembles. It was like waking up the next morning, choosing to have faith in the world and having a better future. It was like believing that something tragic can lead to a beautiful rebirth. You're not the ashes and rubble, you're the spark that ignites inspiration. And because you survived, I know we will too. Thank you.
Houses set ablaze are now beds bare and beds of ash. Possessions that once occupied the spaces are now preoccupied with the growth of new seeds and plants. Saplings and fresh grasses rise out of crevices, now unconstrained by property lines and lawns. They roam free. Does that not symbolize growth and that we are able to do the same? Looking down at empty lots is tranquil and reminiscent of what used to be present. But through construction sites and prevailing trees, the mountains are visible in all their glory. They stand tall, green, and unwavering. They are proof of our burden. Does that not inspire hope? And that in the face of growth, the most important things persist. Despite it all, staying close to familiar faces, remaining idle with those you love, standing in crowds of old neighbors, and sitting in companionship is a reminder that everything remains the same. Even in the wake of change, small moments stay exactly the same, making me forever grateful for the unchanging people. Just as the mountains stay unmoved and unscathed, the people do too. You stay the same.
Thank you both. So powerful, so beautiful. Your words matter. Yes, please keep writing. We will not be reading the bios of the established poets. Those are available for you in the flyers on your chairs. They will read in the following order: Hazel Clayton Harrison. You all have that, right? Oh, you don't have that. It's that. Okay, yes, do we have one somewhere that I can read them? Sorry, people, this is our first time. You have one? Okay, I will read it. I guess I'll just come up and read them every time. I don't usually read the bios every single time just because it takes up time. But we will today. Hazel Clayton Harrison served as 2018-2020 Co-Poet Laureate for the Altadena Library District, where she organized community events and co-edited Altadena Poetry Review. Her poetry and prose appear in numerous anthologies, including River Crossings, Voices of the Diaspora, and Grandfathers. She is a Pushcart Prize nominee and the author of a children's book, The Story of Christmas Tree Lane, and a memoir, Crossing the River, Ohio, and a book of poetry and prose, Down Freedom Road. Please welcome Hazel.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's really amazing to be here and see all of your faces. And I want to thank the organizers, Seba and Lester and the library and this wonderful multi-purpose room. And I wasn't even familiar with this, this center, art center. And I just think it's amazing. I'm going to start off by sharing a little bit about the most amazing S. Pearl Sharp. I had the privilege of first meeting her when I moved to Los Angeles in the early 80s. At that time, I was a beginning writer, trying to find my place in the city. And I stumbled into a workshop that was led by Frances E. Williams. And I don't know if any of you remember her. Thank you, Kali. But she was an amazing figure in the theater industry, in the theater world. She was an actress and she was an activist. And I looked her up and I just discovered that she was the first Black woman to run for the California State Assembly. And that was in the 50s, I believe. But at any rate, I went to the workshop and I noticed this beautiful woman who was sitting there. There were other people, of course. And later I learned it was S. Pearl Sharp. And S. Pearl was from Cleveland. I'm from Ohio. So that kind of immediately resonated with me. And sitting in that workshop, she gave such great feedback and so encouraging to the other writers who were there. Over the years, I ran into her at many other places, and I was really, really excited when I walked in earlier today and with one of our audience members, she mentioned Jamal Ali. He was one of the writers, we're celebrating Black writers, and this is the last day of Black History Month. And I want to mention his name because S. Pearl and I bonded through Jamal, that he was a friend of both of us. And she was there when he passed away and helped with his transition. So she was just an amazing figure in our community. When I found out that she had passed away, I couldn't believe it. I grieved for not just for days, but for weeks. And I've struggled to write about her because since I knew her, I feel an obligation as a poet. You write about what you know. So I've written a couple of poems. They're relatively new, but I'm going to share them. The first one is called What's in Her Name? A poem for S. Pearl. Your name carries your identity, your character, your destiny, and she knew it. Maybe that's why her pen name was S. Pearl. What did the letter S stand for? Sandra, her birth name? But it could have stood for slender and strong, a magical thread that weaves words into art, cotton into kente cloth, a robe for us to wear. Or it could have stood for satin, smooth as Dwight Tribble singing, a love supreme, a love supreme. Or it could have stood for sweetie, your favorite sister or auntie, or a slice of sweet potato pie. And pearl, oh my Lord, black pearl, a symbol for wisdom, transformation, truth, and resilience. An oyster producing a black pearl from a grain of sand. S. Pearl, may her name forever sing a song in our hearts and souls. The essence of a pearl. Some people leave an indelible mark on you long after they're gone, like the fragrance of rain after a long, hot, dry spell. Her poems were sweeter than a fine wine, aged to perfection. Each one a cup that held both our joys and our sorrows. She was soft and yet strong as a boxer, like Muhammad Ali, who refused to give up the fight for justice and liberty. Actress, filmmaker, activist, poet, friend, you couldn't put her in a box. To know her was to be blessed, to be touched by the hand of a goddess. Since I like to think of Black History Month as just way too short. I know why it was started, because of Abraham Lincoln's birthday in the month of February, but let us celebrate Black history all year long, because it truly is American history. Since it's on the cusp of Women's History Month, I'm going to read a poem I wrote many years ago. It's called I Am Woman. I am woman, proud, Black, and free. I am woman, extraordinary. In spite of hands that have tried to hold me down, I have risen to mountain peaks. When my children were enslaved, I stole across the Mason-Dixon line and led hundreds of slaves to freedom. When men denied my womanhood, I tore open my blouse and declared, ain't I a woman? When my children groped in darkness, I founded schools and colleges. When charred Black bodies hung from poplars in Tennessee, I became a journalist and used my pen as a weapon. When aviation was in its infancy, I became a pilot and flew high above the clouds. I sang my spirituals at the Lincoln Memorial and was received by lords and ladies in London and Liverpool. I am Harriet Ross Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Mary McLeod Bethune, Ida B. Wells, Bessie Coleman, Marian Anderson. I am woman, proud, Black, and free. I am woman, extraordinary. The title of this book is Down Freedom Road. I think we have like 4 or 5 moments, I think. Let me know. I'm just going to read a couple more. One more. Freedom Road. Sometimes I wonder how we got here, this place where we are now. Jim Crow laws, charred Black bodies, strange fruit hung from southern trees, American flag drenched in blood, sick and tired of being sick and tired, Black migration, escape from terror, Harlem Nights, weary blues, lift every voice, March on Washington, freedom fighters, voter registration, many, 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 many rivers to cross. Hurricane Katrina, Black folks left to drown. Mother Emanuel, blood on the cross. First Black president, Amazing Grace. Voices echo down halls, white backlash, Charlottesville, Virginia. Encroaching shadows, tiki torches, hate and terrorism. Dark brew of troubles, homelessness, wolves eat babies. Strange the stars. Press on, children, press on. Taste freedom. Hear the dawn birds sing. last poem is called What Will We Do Today? And I wrote this in honor of the Honorable Congressman and Civil Rights Leader, John Lewis. What will we do today? With courage, dignity, humility, we will rise with the morning sun. We will carry the torch you carried until victory has been won. We'll remember that bloody Sunday, troopers you faced on Edmund Pettus Bridge, billy clubs that fractured your skull, yet you still fought to free us from bondage. What will we do today? We will rise with the morning sun. We will make good trouble and a way out of none. We will march through the hills of Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, through the valleys of Kentucky, down winding roads to Washington, D.C. We will fight for the rights paid for by our ancestors with blood and tears. With courage and dignity, we will stand through the long-suffering years. What will we do today? We will rise with the morning sun to fight for the soul of our nation until victory has been won.
Thank you, Hazel. And you know, for those of you who've attended readings that I host, I don't normally read the bios because I'm like, read them yourselves, but today's lineup is so spectacular that each and every poet needs to be recognized and honored. So I just want to say that. Thank you all for coming. V. Kelly grew up in Shakespeare and the oral tradition of Black culture in the Americas. A member since 1992 and the coordinator of the World Stage Anasi Writers Workshop from 2011. She has authored a volume of poems entitled Hymn that came out through World Stage Press in 2016. She is a vegan chef. Her upcoming work is called Poetry in a Pot. Please welcome V. Kelly.
Say too much about it because, you know, you'll be lying up in here. And then they expect you to live up to some things. Pour my water, try and put some water on it. Honoring Peter J. Harris. These are my, I can't say one thing about one person and not say something about the rest. So my 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, Peter J. Harris, in order of their transition. Nzinga Kamara, dancer extraordinaire. Sequoia Mercier, everything. And Espro Sharp, everything else. Today is a good day to cry. Got really emotional coming up here, and the last reading I did with this girl was at the library. Was that last year? That was last year, August. We had a great, and so what's been happening, and I'm going to kind of duplicate something that you said. I'm amazed that we knew Espero from the same spaces, and I never met you way back in the day. I met her through Frances Williams as well, in somewhere like 75, because I belonged to a food co-op, and that's where I met Frances Williams. And then I saw Espero at the Aquarium Center. And then we ran into each other again at Inner City and then Lemert Park. So she kept popping up. So dainty, so ethereal, but baby, if you got on the wrong side, there's nothing gonna help. Case in point, one of our sister poets, El Rivera, was sick and in the hospital at one time. And she was very sick, and so they thought that they had a candidate for whatever they wanted to do with her. Until 8 of us showed up. It was S. Pearl, it was Chise, it was myself. There were 8 of us. S. Pearl was the smallest and the eldest of us all. And this big doctor came in, he looked like a mountain. And he came in literally throwing his weight around. And S. Pearl said, wait a minute. She walked in and she just kind of, she glides. She just glid through, she glided, she glowed. Let me conjugate that. And she said, wait a minute, let me understand what you think you want to do with it. And she read this man from one side to the other, and he was petrified. And we all kind of stepped back and let her have the room. He didn't know who she was, but he knew she wasn't the one. And we ran him out. No, she ran him out of it. We just stood by and watched her work. When for her 70th birthday, she had like an Airbnb, and we had a sleepover. We stayed up all night eating and telling stories and carrying on. I didn't know she could carry on, but of course she could carry on. She was older. And she did so much for so many. She didn't let you slide. She said, what are you doing? And why are you doing that? She was like a teacher that followed you around, like your favorite teacher, but the one who didn't let you, every time you looked around, there she was. So there are 3 poets at the world stage in Nancy Writers Workshop who imitate her so well. It's scary. It's Queen Sox, Melody Luja, Nadia Hunter Bay, and Deetra Inspire. And because they all look different and none of them look like S. Pearl. And when it comes out of your mouth, it's shocking because it's like a TV show that she's affected, infected, and interjected her spirit into people who are able to mimic her whole flavor. And I'm rarely nervous, but I'm nervous because I was driving up here and kind of got disoriented and then started crying. And then because I hadn't cried for anybody yet. And I hear her every morning, my crew. So it's Peter is the rock, Sequoia is the tree, Nzinga is Aquarian with all that water dancing waves, and S. Pearl Sharp, Lord have mercy. Sad, but the fire is real. I made some notes, and when I first saw her, that premature gray patch in the front of her hair that eventually turned white, because I never knew how old she was initially. I thought she was my age. Well, no, she had me by about 9 years. And it reminded me of, what is it, the San Bernardino or the Santa Monica Mountains that are far off in the distance, but they have snow at the top. And once you get there, it's gonna be really, really cold. she was never cold. That gray patch was like a power patch. You know what I mean? It lets you know that there was some wisdom going on, but it wasn't frozen. If you thought it was stuck, you'd have to think again. Seems like she's headed a great migration, like a trail of tears. Something that shook the earth and the topography of the land, and the earth was never the same again. The Trail of Tears, was horrendous. And we celebrate the survivors. And I count myself as a survivor of this great migration of artists and human beings, activists, who have stood so long for so much. And personally have had my back and my sides and my front. Amongst themselves, they didn't tell me anything, but they talk amongst themselves and they call and check me in and see if I was doing the right thing or if I was doing something that was detrimental to my soul by doing too much and not taking care of myself. So usually when folks leave the planet, in our grief, we wonder where they went. We're missing them so much. Well, I know exactly where she's at. In biblical and scriptural fashion, she went to prepare a place for us. She was preparing a place while she was here. She always had a workshop telling you to be ready, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Your final instructions, your life, because she had lived and she was very, very organized, very organized. So that when she left here, all of her I's were dotted and all her T's were crossed. She knew exactly what she wanted to do. And when Sequoia passed at her celebration, there are flowers everywhere and whatever Sequoia wanted. And Sister Pearl, she said, you see all of this and all of this. I don't want none of this shit. No flowers, no. Do exactly what I told you to do. And so I'm working on doing exactly what she's told me to do. And it's a little rough because I can't rebut. I can't fuss because she's right here. She's right here. And there's no way I can get away because she's one of the first persons I talked to in the morning of the four. It's a serious blessing to have. I'm going to do one old poem. And because there are children in the room, I'm going to do this poem. I'm raising children. This poem is 30-some odd years old. I'm not the farmer's daughter raising chickens to be slaughtered. Not the sharecropper's child raising cane to be cut down. I'm raising children. Raising, not California singing dried fruit raisinettes. Not raising strange fruit to hang from some oppressor's tree. I'm raising precious fruits to grow high on the vine. Precious fruits, reaching toward the sunshine. Raising the fruits of my womb to multiply by 5 to stay alive. I'm raising children here. No little Bo Peep leaving her sheep to be slaughtered. These are my daughters. These are my sons. I'm raising children, y'all. Raising them up above the flood waters. I am the crossing guard. Cross me and you'll be sorry because I'm raising children here. Between rock and hard space, betwixt slim and none, tween fat back and no slack, I'm raising children, y'all. The instructions are included, don't fold, spindle, or mutilate. The instructions are included, don't fold, spindle, or mutilate. The instructions been included, do not fold, spindle, mutilate, neglect, misuse, or abuse. Just follow the instructions like you do Ogun, Oshun, and the moon. Just follow the instructions. Because I'm raising children here. I'm raising children, y'all. I'm raising children here. You say every goodbye ain't gone and every shut eye ain't sleep.
Thank you, Vijay. It's always amazing to hear you. And for those of you sitting in the back and having trouble with the sound, you can move up. There's some chairs over here. We apologize for not having a mic. This is our first show in this space, so it is definitely, it's an experiment. The next one, we will have a mic. The library will make sure we have a mic. Our next poet is Beverly LaFontaine. She's a Los Angeles-born poet and playwright. She has enjoyed 4 productions of her plays in the Los Angeles area and has had her poetry published in various poetry journals and anthologies, including online journals, including Poets Reading the News and Moria, as well as print journals Spillway. You can read a lot more about Beverly. I am going to welcome her. It's wonderful to see you.
Thanks everyone for coming, and thank you to Altadena Poets for putting on this wonderful event. I knew S. Pearl Sharp back in the 1970s because I was a freelance writer for many different magazines, and one in particular was Soul Magazine, Regina King's Soul Magazine. And Regina gave Sandra, that's how I knew who I knew her as one of my first assignments for Soul Magazine, because Sandra was a playwright at that time. And I later became one too, and then segued into poetry, as did she. So, and she was and we kept in touch over the years, and now and then whenever, and she would have an assignment such as something on the radio that she didn't want to take on, she would give me a call. And she was really a very kind, generous person that way. It would put me in touch with somebody who would give me that assignment. I'm sorry to hear, was very sorry to hear that she had passed away, but I'm glad to be a part of this that's honoring her. I'm going to read 4 poems today, and 3 of them are what are called haibans, and haibans taken from the Japanese form, where the poet presents in prose a piece of history or a piece of something that is factual, and then follows it with a piece of poetry that is from the first person position of someone who actually was affected or a part of that history. So the first poem, The Good Ship Jesus of Lubbock. You have called down vengeance from heaven upon us, cried Elizabeth, Queen of England, to John Hawkins, captain of the merchant ship Jesus of Lubbock. He had broken his word to her. It was 1562, and the Queen had lent the ship formerly known as the Good Ship Jesus to Hawkins to carry Africans to the Americas with their own free consent, quote. Hawkins, who had agreed to this condition, had a reputation for being a religious man who required his crew to serve God daily. On his first expedition, Hawkins enslaved more than 400 Africans off the coast of Sierra Leone and set sail for the Dominican Republic, where he sold most of them before returning home to his queen in a ship laden with ivory, hides, and sugar. Elizabeth was livid, called his endeavors detestable. However, when she became fully aware of the profits he brought back to England, she joined Hawkins in partnership. So began the British slave trade. Tears surround me in this heaving bow, mother. I searched the dark for you, yearn for the scold of the weaver bird in the mango tree. The second poem is called Hiring Day. January 1st was a day of dread for American slaves. Known as Hiring Day, it was part of the larger economic cycle of the South, in which most debts were collected and settled on New Year's Day. Slave owners in debt or looking to make a profit from the labor of the people they owned took their slaves to the auctioneer's block to be sold or hired away, often to farms and plantations in distant states. For slave families who waited anxiously for Christmas to New Year's Eve to learn their fate, it was known as Heartbreak Day, as children, husbands, wives, mothers, and fathers were sold away, never to be seen again. He scattered them like they were seeds in a field, fallow or fertile. He scattered them like they were stars in the sky, distant, forlorn. He scattered them, and two of them was his heart full of coins. He scattered them, and the emptiness roars. I am the bones that rattle forevermore. I am vengeance. There is no God. The first Memorial Day as reported in the Charleston Daily Courier. Early on May 1st, 1866, the Black community of Charleston, South Carolina, gathered 10,000 strong to lay 257 Union soldiers each in his own grave. They were celebrating the country's first Memorial Day. As reported in the Charleston Daily Courier, the ground had been previously laid out, the mounds of the graves newly raised, and a fine, substantial fence erected around the enclosure of 20 by 24 colored men, friends of the martyrs, and members of the Patriotic Association of Colored Men. Washington Racecourse, the site of a mass grave for Union soldiers, had been a notoriously deadly Confederate prison camp. The Black people of Charleston, who rescued all the bodies from the mass grave, called the dead soldiers the martyrs of the race course. The Charleston Daily Courier reported that the school children sang the Star-Spangled Banner, America, Rally Round the Flag, and John Brown's Body. Then a brigade consisting of the 54th Massachusetts, 104th and 85th Colored Regiments marched 4 abreast around the graves. Through prayers and speeches, Black citizens expressed their gratitude to the Union soldiers who had died so that they could go free. After picnicking together, the crowd dispersed and returned to their homes about dusk. Paul said it would be wrong to leave them there, a jumble of forgotten bones because they died so we could be free. He said each man needed his own grave so he could rise proud when Gabriel blows his horn. It were a pretty sight where we children had strewn the graves with flowers and the women had laid a bouquet on every one, so that by the end, all together, the graves looked like a hill of fresh growing flowers. This last poem is not a highlight. May 25th, 2020. Every morning begins in shadow. Outside light slithers in, reshaping chair, dresser, table into childhood memories gauzy with years of neglect. Life is a busy thing. If not the waning love, then the stumbling child. If not the failing body, then the forgotten promise. If not the fading dream, then the lie revealed. Today, we all witness the death of a man. His pleas, his struggles, his body's attempt to survive, to breathe. This poem is in memory of George Floyd, born October 14th, 1973. Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. Our next poet is Dorothy Randall Gray. She is the author of bestseller Soul Between the Lines, also Sharing the Same Sky, The Passion Collection, News Blues, and many anthology selections. She is an award-winning artist and master teacher whose workshops have inspired thousands around the USA. A Hedgebrook Fellow, former International Women's Writing Guild board member, and twice appointed LA Poet in Residence. She recently represented West Hollywood for National Poetry Month. Please welcome Dorothy.
Thank you all for coming out on this gorgeous day when most of you would prefer to be outside. And I'm glad that you're in here and helping to connect with the memories and the presence of S. Pearl Sharp. Thank you, Fee Kali, for painting a picture of S. Pearl. I'd like to read a few things. The last part, reading from the book that she wrote, and 2 other pieces. Thank you. I am so appreciative. I really appreciate being here and being here in Altadena, and what a blessing it is. Thank you. First, this poem by S. Pearl, What You Left Behind. An address book of people I didn't know you knew. Your recipe for pancakes that matched the sun. Coins, the surprise in every pocket. That library book you swore you had returned. The bag of hair you clipped to capture chemo's night. I'm standing outside time, seeing years unwind, expired skeletons closeted in fury. The dresser drawer of underwear and worn out shoes. That laugh skipping from photographs to my throat. A pen knife to carve your name on clouds so I can find you again. I'm down here on my knees in the sand of memory, bargaining with eternity. What you left behind is me. The last part of a poem that I wrote to S. Pearl. What you left behind was that tree, the one wrapped around your spine, that spruce straight tree the ancients say always points to heaven, that tree spine heaven held in its place in your walk, aimed at the higher song of your being, the totality of your testimony, its branches spreading beyond boundaries of film and journals, branches into books and biography, roots wrapped in truths of how you viewed the world, with herald sharp lens always in focus. You left that tree behind and we swallowed its seeds, tasted their earth and heaven and your presence saying, still here. You left behind me, we, they, them, us, all of them, all of we. You left behind us, but we'll never leave you. Thank you, Beverly, for the poem about George Floyd. Hard to believe it's been 5 years since he was assassinated. I'd like to pay tribute to my grandfather. And always, if I stand tall, it's because I'm standing on the shoulders of my ancestors. So this is called Dreams in the Garden. Grandfather, your great heart and hands plowed fields that you did not own. 50 years of breaking soil, sweat, fertilizing land, making things grow you couldn't sell or call yours. I am breaking through earth here in LA, tomatoes and sweet flowers butterflies love to smell. I am making things grow in my garden, making words blossom in my heart, fertilizing dreams of those who come to learn what I have to teach. Grandfather, you did not believe in education for girls. Only marriage and children, like grandma, like her grand Cherokee mother, gave 13 to this world. I am the daughter of destiny denied, child of a mother who had to sneak through fields to go to school. I am my mother's garden, beautiful and bountiful. Grandfather, beyond those Georgia fields and red clay earth, I dream of blue and Paris skies, of speaking tongues I long to taste, of sweetness in another city, of being myself, away from myself. Rêve de Paris, je pense que d'être dans ce fieu, mon cœur est dans un village des écrivantes et d'amour, dans le jardin de mon rêve. Dreams of Paris. I think of being in that place. My heart is in a village of writing, and love in the garden of my dreams. Un jour, un jour, un jour, one day, one day, one day, not far away. Grand-père, je ne sais pas vos rêves. Grandfather, I do not know your dreams, but you can share mine in the garden. I want to thank Fatih Khalil for reading that poem about children. I hope that we set a better example of children than what has been set. I work with children, I work with people who are in detention centers, and I hope they are not getting that lesson of what it means to be preemptive. I hope no children hits another child because they want to give them a preemptive strike because they were afraid that person might hit them. This is my last piece. I'm creating a series of poems about goddesses, Black goddesses, and this one is named Neva, N-N-E-V-V-A-H. As poets, we can always reinvent the language anytime and any way we want. You know, like we invent the language. Neva. Alone, I may seem to have no power, no direction of my own, no sense or sense of purpose. Yet you say my name when it suits you, and I seem to fit. I can marry a chain of words and become mighty, a force to be recognized and reckoned with. I become never again. Never leave me. Never let me go. Never do that again. Never forget. Never enough. Never appreciated. Never understood. Never sure. Never felt like this before. Never meant to hurt you. Never knew. Never alone. Never, never land. Never want to see you again. Never saw anything like that. Never knew love could be like this. Never thought you would do this to me. Never thought I would say this to you. Say my name and I am a slogan, a command. I can slice hope thin, slam doors, draw blood, invite surrender, dress in knives and consequences. I am the answer you don't want to hear. When are you coming back? Never.
Thank you, Dorothy. I'm so glad you made it. I know it was kind of a journey in the heat, the summer, winter that we're experiencing. Our next poet is Lynn Thompson. She has served as Los Angeles's 4th Poet Laureate and is the author of 4 collections of poetry, including, most recently, Blue on a Blue Palette from the BOA editions 2024. Please welcome Lynn.
Thank you all for coming out today. This is really the best celebration. I think S. Pearl is smiling at us. And I kind of want to pick up Dorothy's theme a little bit. I'm going to read 3 poems. I may not have known S. Pearl as well as many who've spoken already today, but I know this, the woman was fierce, capital F, fierce. And so I was thinking about that. And so I wanted to share some poems about fierce women who may or may not have been goddesses, but who all said never at some point or other. I'm going to start with this one. The unworshipped woman. Nothing beat her, break her down, or wreak so the way she do. Nothing got her unzipped mind, her fly paper memory. She a riverbed will be for a dog's millennium. She gone lost to her unborns. She's pale smoke in the distance, shadow and a trained whistler's whistle. This unworshipped, this woman.
She come like salt lick. She go down like a drowning man hollering for one last. Her story hung like seaweed. She come in, she go out, like unworshipped women supposed to. Knees bloody, knuckles got somebody's jawbone jammed on. Hair coiled with September twilight. Corkscrewed so tight, even owls won't hoot. Until she passed by them, longing on long legs, lips the color of peril. Bittersweet, folded round a hollow in her twisted back. But her one good eye, it flashed. The only thing you need to know about this poem is the reference to Bear Beast is the area in South America that's now called Guyana. And this is based on a history that's little known of what occurred there. A Rage on Bear Beast, 1763. Before I was north and south of a new country, I was divided from. I was a tactic. I was a slave trading port. Before I was remade as Amerindian, I was sugar as the main crop. Before I was overworked and underfed, I was selected for immediate punishment, persuaded to remain a wooden gutter for collecting rainwater, ruled by terror and customary understandings before I was replenished by the arrival of 2 more ships. Before I was left for dead by frightened Europeans was before I was something black at the bottom of a buyer's cup. Before I was high upriver in the jungle, I was silver and gold and a bounty paid to soldiers. Prepared fields farther inland, the quarters where we captives slept. I was the fort burned and abandoned before I joined the Arawaks and squatted with a knife in my hand. Before I was traumatized woman hoping to make my way, I was the turning of the tide. Before I was awakened in the middle of the night, I was bloodshed on the captain's bedclothes. Before I escaped the cooking pot full of Negro flesh, before I declined to implicate the others, before I was witness to the executions of the women rebels and sentenced to vigilante injustice, I was a daughter who spelled you my name phonetically. I was woman with child, whose children's children have lived to tell you this. And this last one that I'll read is for our much beloved LA, really Pasadena icon who will probably outlive us all, Betty Saar. This poem, Assemblage, which is her art technique that she's best known for, the poem is composed primarily of titles of her work, but it's for all of us. Assemblage. We were born from the time in between, in the house of tarot, born of Our Lady of the Shadows, and we have survived 10 secret mojos. We got a conjure bag, got some good luck tokens, some herbs. We know how to catch a unicorn because we are spirit catchers. We are not some high priestess, but we have a view from the sorcerer's window, have never belonged to the black crows in the white section only. We are not one of those midnight Madonnas, but neither are we rainbow babes in the woods. Sometimes we dream about grandmother's house when it was indigo mercy. Was she bequeathed us her house of the open hand, so we wouldn't live and imitation of life. So we could live as Lullaby, Sheba, Redbone, and Black Crossing. Thank you.
And Lynn's books are also available for sale back there after the event. Our final featured poet is Connie D. Williams. He is a poet, actor, community. Connie D. Williams. Let's not forget the D. Activist and performance artist with 3 collections of poetry, some of which are available for sale over here. He has performed his poetry on television, radio, universities and colleges, and venues across the US. Please welcome Connie D. Williams.
I was born in the Jim Crow South, November 1956, Shreveport, Louisiana. And I know as we experience things today, there is an easy opportunity for many people to make unethical, easy comparisons to events as though they somehow indicate things that have been part and parcel of the United States since its inception. Here I am, born in Jim Crow South. I was also a part of the first integration in Shreveport, Louisiana, 1968. I was 13 years old. 1969, I was 13 years old. I remember that so well because I remember going on a field trip and I remember being the only person left on the bus and I was listening to the unaltered version of Let It Be by the Beatles before whatever the guy's name that put the wall of sound and all the violins behind the song. I experienced a lot growing up in the South. I grew up in a neighborhood where half my neighborhood was white and half was black. I could not walk through the white part of my neighborhood. I had to walk out of the way in order to go to the big grocery store. I never interacted with a white person until I was 13 years old, had a social interaction with a white person until I was 13. Many people in my neighborhood disappeared, never to be seen again. So when I hear words like now or this time, it bothers me. It hurts me. Because there's an inference there that somehow says that when certain lives are lost, they are inherently more valuable than others. When you say this time, what you're saying is that all of those lives that came prior to this death lacked any efficacy whatsoever. All of those people who died so that sharks could eat on that journey from Africa to America. All those people who didn't make it to 1865. Many of my friends who were arrested. I think about the work that S. Pearl did in the film industry, fighting for justice. That's been my life in Los Angeles since I moved here in 1981. $300 in a bag of weed. And no idea where my life was gonna end up. But I knew that I didn't want to spend another day in the South. And yet people are saying today or now. Tonight, I almost died on my front porch. The air was rigid, similar to his starched uniform. It was posing as winter. Steel between knuckles and finger. Taste of lead seeped in my nostrils. The odor of a #2 pencil, refrigerator. He said, "Step the fuck back." Why didn't I put on some slippers? My bare feet felt like they were slipping underneath me. My porch transformed into an unoccupied mausoleum. He was committing my body back to the earth. The sign of the cross made a shadow covering my eyes, from my forehead to chin. The new moon hung low behind him, an uncooperative witness. Facing me in silence, he said, "Step the fuck back, or I will shoot you." His arms were projectiles protruding out of his body, like 2x4 planks nailed into the air between us. I could smell the night blooming jasmine, the only confection existing half an hour past midnight. I wanted to piss, create a boundary, a sea he couldn't cross to steal me away from my sons and daughters. He had creases sewn into a dark blue uniform. It made him look more disciplined than he actually was. I forgot how to swallow and believed him that he would shoot. The memory of me in shards scattered across that small porch into the firm wind. Another innocent victim of another Vesuvius. Thank you. This last poem I'm gonna read is a dedication to a woman that, to me, epitomizes fierceness. A person that I've drawn inspiration from for much of my life. Stars for Nina. Stars, they come and go. They come fast, they come slow. Like the last light of the sun, all in a blaze. All you see is glory. It gets lonely there. First encounter was divination. Parting company with yourself, merely to acknowledge trajectory of your constellation. I watch you combust and reassemble. Goddess and lamentation. Public flesh and spirit bloom equinox. Butter on both sides of the bread. I know stars, they come and go. Stars are unyielding, incomprehensible, like the velocity of truth that lacerates assumption and atmosphere. Your songs don't have permission to pretend or hide like cowards behind accommodation. Heard you exasperate. Women like me always have a story. What do you see without distance? The way you're portrayed in books. Ghost writers taking liberties with your most vulnerable pages. Counterfeit attempts to simplify complexity of your melody. I know stars, they come and they go. How do you undress divinity on stages of self-indulgence? Peel away that pretentious husk, summon breath fervent as prayer. What happened to you, Miss Simone? All your Nina on display, unguarded. The song you sang is clear. Women like me always have a story. You gave Earth best you could. Born electric like a comet, diva, inferno, scorching ether. Then evolved into Mississippi's Ebenezer. Were you quiet when you left home? Denied access to a tender welcome? When you sang, Precious Lord, is that how you pray in your presence? Dissecting your eternal. How were you able to birth yourself without America's assistance? I heard Money, Mississippi was going to issue an apology. What kind of God would you pray to when there is none equal? History tries to break you like news, cause trust is difficult to swallow whole. I heard that there is a river you cross. When words transcend apologetic, only your body ran out of time. How concentrated your gaze when spirit conjures gravity zero in your eyes, when fallen angels conspire and do their damnedest to incarcerate you and your blackness, try to blemish that Afro diadem, brand you as feral and stray. They're afraid to see your wings, all 6 of them. They tug at that one loose string inside your favorite garment. Watch you unravel on key. Perfect notes concave inside your mouth. Duty isn't the child of love, only sacrifice is. Black seeds flourish beneath robust language animated by protest. Your souls and defiance are nuclear. Blackness more than propaganda. It's the risk between black and white keys. Sounds like peril, yet therein lies your freedom. When you no longer fear living. The latest story that I know is the only one I'm supposed to go out with. The latest story that I know is the only one I'm supposed to go out with. What happened to you, Miss Simone? All your Nina on display, unguarded. What happened to you, Miss Simone?
Thank you, Connie D. Williams. That was awesome. And I'm going to invite Lester Graveland. I was going to say D. I'm going to throw a D in there. G. Lennon, to read a poem, after which I will read a short one and we will slip into open mic. And I promise you there will be time to have pan dulce and buy books because those are there. So if you haven't signed up for the open mic, please go ahead and do that now. So.
One poem about the fire, about how we can measure loss, maybe in just one t-shirt. Prez, Lester Young, tenor saxophone great. Lester Young, Coleman Hawkins, the 2 best. Then young John Coltrane blew in, matured, became John unquestioned greatest. Love supreme, unquestioned classic recording, far outselling classic tunes Lester and Count Basie made, now tuned out. Late March event for survivors. I was late. I wore my Lester Young black t-shirt I packed when evacuating. Coltrane, not packed. All other greats left. Lester spoke for all. Jazz had one president of jazz. His good friend, Billie Holiday, named him. "I like your t-shirt," said one black man. I had one just like it. The fire took all I had.
Thank you. I first met Esper Sharp like 10 years ago when I moved to Pasadena at a poetry reading at a cafe around the corner on Lincoln in that little hub, and it's now become Dim Book and Boba Coffee Shop. And she and I had this amazing conversation about one of the oldest sculptures that has been found in the world in what is now Pakistan, my home country. She's the dancing girl from Mohenjo-daro. She's 4 inches. This is literally the replica of that dancing girl. Few people outside of South Asia know about her existence, even though she's 4,500 years old. And I love that connection between one corner of Altadena to a historic site along on the Indus River, my home, and I'm always looking for those connections. And it was, and she gave me a stack of books, and I still have those. I gave away a lot of my books recently when I moved, but I kept that stack. So here is my poem today dedicated to Esper Sharp and our first conversation, and of course, to the dancing girl. She lives within us, Mohenjo-daro's girl, 4 inches tall. She tells the truth of power and women's resistance. Her body bare, hand on hip, with attitude, lips curled, one arm wrapped in bangles, 4,500 years old. They call her the dancing girl and say she is 15. She could have been the leader, resisted kingdoms, and walked women to carve their paths to freedom in her home, Mohenjo-daro, by the 5-armed river that watered the land. Or perhaps she danced only for herself, each day, inside the mound or outside on the streets, and sprinkled daily joy on those she touched. Today, her bronze figurine is lodged in a Delhi museum, far from her home by the Indus River. But through bronze and wax replicas, she exists amidst us on college student bookshelves, altars, coffee tables, and kitchen windows. And across continents, she connects us and inspires us to rebel and dance to our own tunes. Thank you. And that is what Esper Sharp did. So we know that, and it was an amazing conversation. So our first poet who will read on the open mic is Anna Misan. We know her work. She's been published many times in the Altadena Poetry Review, and we'll ask all poets to keep their poems just one poem per person. So Anna, please welcome.
Thank you, everyone. I feel really lucky to have been here today. I'm very grateful to all that you gave of yourself to us today, all of the poets who shared not just their poetry, but your stories. I'm really filled with so much gratitude for that today. I am going to read a poem that is sort of like when so much is happening in the world, I try to keep it simple, and I am hoping that I always look back to nature to see how can I ground myself in learning from nature. I am the weed that can pierce through asphalt, pushing up to greet the sun, flowering in time. I am the weed that you try to eradicate with your Roundup and your Dutch hoe and your hori knife. I am the weed that is not the Padres weed, invasive yellow mustard trail marker. I am the dandelion with sturdy bitter leaves and dainty yellow blooms to calm your gut. I am the poison oak with seeds, berries, and nectar for bees and blue jays. I am the poppy, sun-kissed with sedative qualities to ease your pain. I am the native bloom, pulled, ripped, removed, and replaced. I am the native bloom the land remembers, regenerative, healing. I am the native bloom, the dandelion, the poison oak, the poppy.
Next poet is G.G. Foster. We have two more poets after that. We'll be ready. Shasta, you're next. And then
I too met S. Pro Sharp, the Sidewalk Cafe. Here in Altadena, there was a monthly reading, Poets and Allies. And I met S. Pro Sharp, as I met many of you during that reading. S. Pro, though, over the years, kept telling me, stop, because I was working, I helped publish a quarterly, and she says, you gotta stop doing this and get on your own work, get on your own work. And I was able to share with her my novel, The Boys Were Not Refined, before she passed. And since then, I've written a poetry collection, Warped by War, The Poise We Fought to Find. Both books, well, the poetry collection and the novel, based on my experience during the Vietnam War in Thailand, 1968. I will read the poem, Were You a Soldier? What did you do during the war, mister? Were you true blue when hailed by writ of conscript, mailed by Uncle Sam? Or were you 4F, conscientious objector, prudent student, deferred, defector, or sham? Did you side with Ho, decide hell no won't go, or skedaddle scram to Amsterdam? Was your crafted path protest lodger with draft dodgers, detesters of war, riffraff, intent on dissent? Did Pop's political clout keep you out? Or did you tower tall and call to fly the sky, scale the wall, or sail the sea for God and country? What branch did you serve? Air Force, Army, Navy Reserve, or maybe the Corps? Did you do one tour, or did you do more? Were you married or single, activated guard, free will volunteer, or did some judge insist you enlist? Did they assess for best ability, then drill to instill a military occupational skill that will yield ingress into a civilian field, an MOS like an aviator or a translator? What was your knack? Were you a worthless sad sack, cook, chaplain, clerk? Did you do quartermaster work, acquisition? Were you a physician, tank technician, driver, diver, plumber, division drummer? Did you march, parch, spit shine boots, polish brass, starch, full dress on parade? Did you heed bloody blisters? Did you need first aid? Were you keen on rules or bothered by the do or die routine? Did slow, low crawl confine you to clean latrines or sign to roll on potato peeling kitchen patrol? Did they try to pry the third eye from your soul, bait the hate, denigrate your status full of queers and steers? How'd that go? Equate gook with spook and lose control, miss roll call and revolt and bolt a wall? Post-storm, did you conform and abide or form distrust and deride military justice, strutting the stockade shuffle in the shade of the yard, behind the wall, under guard? Well regarded or protected, Were you permanent party, selected to toil on safe US soil, marked keen time and day room laughter, chalking cues, hawking news, stalking furlough, talking plans of after? Were you vexed or perplexed by a dear John from now X? Did you gain the Italian medallion? Were you retained to attend the war college to gain practical, tactical knowledge? What was your oh glory story? Was it by and large scurry, hurry up and wait, then charge? Did you make Sarge? What does a private do for kicks? Pick his nose, join a clique, chase the whores, learn new tricks, or stick to the lonely joys of Kilroy and scrawl on walls? Did they send you to officer candidate school, West Point, Annapolis, Pentagon, promoted or demoted? Did you go to Nam? Did you drop napalm bombs on the palms, or was your scenario below in a swamp, crouched on your knees, fighting jungle rot, mosquitoes, and venereal disease? Between scratches, did you learn snatches of Vietnamese? Cross the line, pursuing hearts and minds to imbue, issued among the buku left behind? Did you three on a match, patch wounds, body bag dead, or repair with care? The food was fed. Where did you grub, mess hall or NCO club? Go on many missions or any raids using code coordinates? Were you invisible, brown nose, a brown nose, gung-ho or insubordinate? Did you voice to command your adverse stand on campaign plan, or by choice kowtow to orders and traverse banned borders? Were you nervous? Did night bring heightened fright and clammy fear? Where was your service, front line or rear? Did you three in a match, patch wounds, body bag dead, or prepare with care the food was fed? Where did you grow up, mess hall or NCO club? Were you outflanked POW, caged in dark dank? Did you only give name, number, and rank? Did they discern ways to roil your leal? How did you foil? How did you deal? How did you stay alive? Did you king rat? Did you barely survive, or king rat thrive? From first step to final effects of threat and regret, chance to advance, retreat and defeat, undaunted or as a yet hunted vet. Did you endure all strife to ensure our way of life is secure? Well, then, friend and brother, hope you're coping well. We'll all healed, sight, spite, or soon sound and steel, and can yet manage to take advantage of the GI Bill. But during the war, Mr. Did you kill?
No. That was amazing. I cannot believe you've memorized that. It was really, really impressive. Thank you. Thank you. Shaista? And followed by Natalia. On board. I know I should have arrived a little early, but how do you follow that? But in my defense, it is a very short poem. Of the break of dawn and dreams. A man is what he does. The 7 o'clock buzz, the race to beat the morning rush. Fragment of a dream is left hanging midstream. Perhaps it won't matter, nor fit in with the chatter of the lunchtime crowd. So instead, I complain about humidity and rain. Dip the celery sticks in low-fat cheese, think of hot afternoons and long siestas, and watch CNN. As the mind continues to wander amidst the endless chatter about the weekend weather, the animated newscaster, the memory and the dream unable to hold on, drift off to live on in some other part of being, unable to redeem, I spin another dream. And to close it up, we have the study.
Wow, geez, powerhouse of poets. Man, you're my teachers. This poem is titled Winter's Gray. Winter's gray mutes the morning light, brown faces frozen, from fright more than cold. Nervous children cry not to go to school. Heard last night, parents disappear. Vigilant women shake the calm. Their voices echo, ICE is here. Brazen witnesses aim their cell phones. Photo buttons click, videos capture. A driver stopped, carjacking style. They vanish him and his child. A shopper, waiter, demonstrator, pepper spray to the ground, faces down. A woman hides her small ID note wrapped around a quarter, throws it at the crowd before enforcers grab her. Blue state under siege, angry neighbors shout, whistles blowing code, car horns blare. Peaceful marchers carry signs, militant thugs pull their guns. 2 citizens shot, dead. 1 in the face, 1 in the back. Fragments of this scene ricochet against the TV screen. Some of us perceive only black, only white. Others see the gray, say both sides right. Some see red, takes them to the street. Fragments of brutality ricochet inside my head.
Really appreciate you bringing it back to right now. And of course, we are in Altadena and Esquel Shop is here with us and all of this reality is happening. Invite you all to come to our next March events, March 21st and 28th. March 21st is a workshop, 28th is a reading, and then our book festival will be on April 25th with a workshop in between. Books on sale over there. Peter Harris was the former, Peter J. Harris was the former editor of the Altadena Poet. Those middle names are so important, right? He was the editor of the last edition of the Altadena Poetry Review. Those are on sale for $10. The normal price is $20. So do grab one. And then some of us have books over there as well. So, and hang out, Pan Dulce.